Good evening, everyone. It's the Day Trippers, a little bit later than advertised. A few technical problems, but we got there eventually. It is the Day Trippers Tuesday Club, and it's Ray, your host for tonight. We've got three of the boys joining me on Skype tonight. Podcast will go out later this evening, brought to you by RedsBet. Not sure if Phil in the background is going to do some intros and some inserts, but look, it's the Tuesday Club brought to you by RedsBet. So tonight I've got Steve Brown with me. How are you going, Steve?
Yeah, not too bad, man. How you doing?
Good. Jamie, we got Jamie home. How are you doing, Jamie?
How are you, sir?
Yeah, good. And finally, but not least, we got Shawnee FC live from his bedroom where all the magic happens. How are you doing, Shawnee?
I never said this was my bedroom, Dicker. What's happening, mate?
So from a location not yet known. So yeah. Good man, Shawnee.
Loose lips sing ships, Shawnee lad. Loose lips sing ships.
Correct. Shy nothing. Shy giving.
Right, so we've got a good few things to get through tonight, lads. Obviously, we all were getting pretty excited on Sunday evening, so we're going to do a quick recap of the tour out in the States. Obviously, the Reds were there for just over a week. 3 locations, 3 games, a couple of wins, a defeat to start the tour, which, you know, I thought we acquitted ourselves well in that first game, even though we lost the game 3-1 ultimately against Dortmund. So without getting too excited about things, I'll start with you, Shawnee. What were your sort of big takeaways from the tour, specifically on the pitch?
It's impossible not to get too carried away with pre-season. Like, the main thing you kind of think about pre-season is, like, it's cliche, but it's minutes under the belt, minutes in the legs, and then just no injuries and that. You know what I mean? We've been very lucky, whereas we've had some of our more key players were able to come back quicker than like the competitors' teams. Like for instance, like Spurs are going to be missing the majority of their 11 going into the first game. Same with City, and Mourinho literally has not stopped going on about missing players. But I think the big takeaway is how natural some of the youngsters have looked coming into the team. Like Curtis Jones was brilliant, and Nathaniel Phillips, who, being honest, never heard of before the tour. But the fella looked like he was born in a first team shirt. And then Camacho as well, who has been brilliant and looks like a player who could definitely break in. And there's even people saying that he's in contention now to make the squad for the West Ham game. So they're the main takeaways. And then we have Shaqiri's debut as well. But it's been great. The thing I've enjoyed most about pre-season is actually because, like the two boys, I'm a big MMA fan. It's like the embedded style Voidocs that they've been doing, following the team around America the last couple of weeks. It's been brilliant, very enjoyable, and a great insight. But I prefer the American tours to Australia and Asia. For me, it's been very good. No injuries as well, so it's been all good.
Yeah, and you, Steve, Shawnee there mentioned about the young players emerging. It's quite amazing, really, that we're now going to go into the season in all likelihood with the likes of Jones and Camacho actually part of the squad and potentially getting some minutes through the course of the season. Were you impressed with those, Shawnee, those two in particular?
Yeah, especially Jones really stood out. And we're all crying out for us to sign a number 10. We've become obsessed with the idea of getting Fekir because we've seen the pictures of him in the short and all, but like, Jones looks more than capable, you know what I mean? He was a lad that was playing in Gerrard's team, who Gerrard spoke very highly about last season, and he's come in already. And even the way Klopp has spoken about him, and then Camacho as well, who just looks very naturally gifted. It's very parallel to Trent, how he bled into the team last year. Like, Camacho, I think, is predominantly a midfielder, a footballer on the ball. He played at right back whenever he's come into the team, and he's just looked. It was just been seamless for him. You know what I mean? It's been very good to watch. I have to say, he's one now that I think could really break into the team now coming into the next season.
Yeah, And Steve, in terms of the more senior players that we seen getting minutes under the belt, were there any sort of players for you that you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, that they really can sort of improve massively this season compared to what they contributed to the squad last season?
Well, there's obviously the obvious ones, the players that weren't there last season through injury, and Klein and Lallana.
Yeah.
Both of them looking sharp, both of them looking fit. The most impressive part of the pre-season was the way Salah and Mane looked when they came back. There was no dragging their heels. It was literally as soon as they got on in the City, I think it was the City game. As soon as they got on in the City game, it was just 100 miles an hour back to where they wanted to be, where you want them to be starting the season. That was the most impressive part, especially against United. The first half against United, the level that it goes up when you have Salah and Mane on the pitch together is just night and day from anything else that we have.
Yeah, and the debut from Shaqiri, it was something else, I guess, wasn't it? It was almost written in the stars that he would do something like that.
Yeah, well, look, the goal was special. Obviously, it is a special goal. But if you take away the goal and just look at the 45-minute performance, he looked good. He playing through the middle. He protects the ball very well, which surprised me. He looked more like he looked like he wanted to join up the play more than he did when he was with Stoke. We've seen that with the assist for the Sturridge goal. Whereas if he's at Stoke, that's him trying to do something stupid to score a goal. Whereas just played a simple ball and it's in the back of the net. That was what surprised me. Now, like I said, it's very, as Shawnee said, it's pre-season. So we don't know how much we can read into it or whatever it may be. But they're encouraging signs.
Yeah. And Jamie, there was a few players who I guess had the opportunity, had the platform to play themselves into the picture for the new season, but didn't quite sort of do that. Origi is an obvious one. That springs to mind. Were there a few players that you were a little bit disappointed with through the course of those games over in the States?
Yeah, I think the main one, as you said, Origi is the standout. He just looked, massively off the pace and probably a little bit disinterested, which is strange because we were talking before the show started. I think there was a real opportunity there for him, to come in and stake a claim, be energetic in everything that he does, be upbeat, because there's never been a better time to play for this Liverpool team, and you've got a manager there that believes you. Klopp's put the faith in him in the past, and so if you can't use that as the platform to perform, then I think there's rumblings now that he's close to sealing a deal. To move away, and based on probably a last chance saloon in pre-season, it's no surprise that he's going to be moved on. Aside from him, I think one thing that struck me, and Shawnee touched on it there with the videos and the content that's coming out around the club, is just how positive everything is. I can't remember a time where there's been so much positivity around the football club. There doesn't feel a clamour for emergency signings. We've got most of our key business done. There's arguments, and I think there's some justification in maybe another pacey attacker, but it's not a necessity. So that alone creates this environment where the squad feel very together. Nobody's feeling sort of out of place, and it's just a real positive vibe going into the season, and that's only been supplemented by the performance of some of the youngsters that you lads have touched on. I think, as a manager, going into pre-season, you want fitness, you want to get players into a rhythm and up to the tempo that's going to be expected of them come first, second, third game of the season. But more importantly, you want the youngsters that are given an opportunity to show that they're ready. And, as the lads have touched on, Curtis Jones, Phillips, in particular for me, Camacho, I think has been absolutely superb, a fullback. And I was surprised to hear that that's not even a position that he's used to playing, and to settle in so quickly and be a threat, not only going forward, but also very defensively sound and making good decisions, just shows the quality that we've got coming through the ranks. And, I think we live in a day and age now where everybody wants a signing. They want to dip into the market to fill the gaps, where Klopp has shown time and time again that he's more, rather than doing an emergency signing, he'll dip into the academy. He'll give youth a chance. And Shawnee touched on it there in terms of Phillips. If you're looking at centre-backs, You know, that lad's shown he's more than capable of handling pressure situations. 100,000 against Man United, and he looked like it was a stroll in the park to him. So loads of positives for me coming out of pre-season.
Yeah, I think like the three lads there, that you know, the young lads, you add Rhian Brewster to that. You know, there's a wave of players who it appears haven't possibly quite made the grade, who've gone out on loans, possibly go out on further loans, or possibly be sold on a permanent move. So it is, aside from the big names that we've now got established at the club, it's great, isn't it, that we've got these young lads sort of there, potentially getting the minutes, potentially being part of the squad, and hopefully being part of a big thing, not just this season and for future seasons to come.
But do you know what it is though, Ray, as well, mate? Yeah. It's the lift that it gives the club as a whole, because you know the academy exists as a vehicle to get these lads into the first team. And if they can all see that this manager is not only prepared to create that pathway, but give you the opportunity, and if you seize it, you stay in, that gives the whole club a boost, you know, right down to the lower ages of the academy. So it's great to see.
Another thing, we never even mentioned Sturridge. We don't want to get sucked into.
I'm sucked in, mate.
Does it actually seems like there's something different this time though? Even his attitude seems completely different this time to other times.
Just when you think you're out, he pulls you back in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you know what I think it is? I think there's an element of him going to West Brom and thinking, what the fuck is this?
What am I doing here?
This is my alternative.
Yeah, exactly. Why is Claudio Jakob bouncing balls off my shin when I should be playing with Mo Salah and fucking Sadio Mane? You know what I mean? I think he said that in the interview, and it's like when you leave the girlfriend, you think it's not working out, and you go to the next one, and you're like, you know what? Actually, it wasn't too bad back then.
I think I've made a mistake here.
Jesus, here's the hope. A fit Daniel Sturridge could be the difference between us finishing first and finishing fourth, and that's the truth. He's the type of player who, in a 38-game season, will turn draws to wins, 0-0s to 1-0s. He's that clinical, like, you know what I mean? If you can keep him fit, it's the massive if, you know what I mean?
I think it's the change in expectation from him being that sort of key figure. We don't rely on Sturridge now, and I think his expectations has changed from needing to be the main man to now being prepared to put in a shift wherever he is. He just wants to be part of the club, and that Sturridge, who we can rely on for 10 goals a season, is the one that's going to add value. It's because there's not the clamouring to get him in the side now, because when everybody's fit, he's not in the team. But if we're now to challenge for 4 competitions, which I think we've got the squad to do, that Daniel Sturridge is very important to Liverpool.
Can we talk about Naby Keita?
Are you getting YouTube clips of him there as well?
I actually don't think we should talk about him.
It's like there's an embargo put on him, isn't there?
Yeah. It's like he's like a nuclear test weapon or something. I'm just waiting to unleash him now until next week. I am feeling. But Jesus Christ!
Obviously, this whole neck business and not flying. So, do you think he gets the? Do you think he gets the Stenner over this weekend?
Yeah, I think he's on the way already. I heard. He's on the Dundrum Dual Carriageway in a Fiat Punto. They're not taking any risk. He's going to be like Bergkamp though. He can't fly anywhere, so he's only used to us for the European home games and that. No, but out straight when you see someone like Keita, you just you see straight away that
it's levels, mate. It really is levels.
He's 1 or 2 levels above of whatever we had there at the time, and the fact that we haven't even seen him play with the 3 boys yet. Jesus Christ, it's frightening, really. Like I said, we're all going mad to sign a number 10 when we have this fella in the middle who can do it all. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
And I think that's the key. He literally can do. He can play wide. He can play any of the central areas. The thing that stood out for me, it's not just the speed of thought and the speed at which he does things. Did you see where he stood up the Dortmund defender? I can't remember who it was.
The corner.
Did a double step over, and the guy was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah, he's magic. He really is magic.
Do you think that he's the Coutinho replacement in a way? Do you know what I mean? Do you think that was maybe now that we've got him in and Phil's gone, the focus has shifted from getting, because you're not going to get a Phil replacement direct.
I think the Coutinho replacement is Mane.
Yeah.
Sadio Mane.
I think it's a system replacement.
Exactly, Steve. Perfect point.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, because
we talked about this before, Jamie, where Coutinho was that good that he had to be in the team. Didn't make a difference what system you're playing. You had to fit Coutinho in.
Yeah.
Klopp has his system, whatever it may be, and he has the players for his system.
Yeah.
We don't play this 4-2-3-1 where we have to have a number 10 as a focal point. It doesn't happen. We don't need it. So Keita could be the replacement, but he's not a direct replacement. Same way, I don't think you have a direct replacement for Coutinho because he was that good, but he didn't fit the system. Therefore, we didn't need a direct replacement.
Yeah, I think. Look, at the end of the day, we've been waiting so long for Keita to come. You know, we've seen a preview of him now. I think, you know, we're all excited. I think he's going to be a firm fan favourite when he does start off the season. And look, it's just one of many things. The last thing I just wanted to, before we moved on to Dublin, last thing I just wanted to touch on in terms of the US tour was the level of fan engagement, I guess, from the players and from the manager, and how accessible they appeared to be throughout that whole course of the week and a bit. What just throw it out there. What's your thoughts around that? Obviously, from my point of view, a step in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bit of bad press last year, wasn't there, when there was a video doing the rounds of the players leaving the hotel and they were all rushed onto the bus. You remember that? And everyone was saying, "Oh, look at all the Liverpool." It was obviously done by the club, and then there was talk of players being fined for stopping and giving autographs and all, leaving Melwood. But I think when you travel to the likes of the United States and Singapore, fan engagement is key, because that's one thing FSG have tried to do is make us globally accessible for outside markets looking in, because they know that the fandom is going to be there in and around the ground, in and around Melwood, in England. But when you see the Yanks singing "LA, LA, LA" in American accents and all, it's mental. Like, you know what I mean?
I agree with that. I agree with all that, Johnny. But I think it was Klopp that did say that the reason it wasn't so engaged at home was security reasons. That if they were to have a training session in Anfield, they might have 50,000 showing up. Yeah. Whereas the open training session, I think it was in Charlotte where they done the open training session, and they had maybe 1,500 there. So the big difference having 1,500 and then 50,000, you know.
Yeah. No, I agree. But like, as what FSG are trying to do with the model and the club, and it's great. And like I said, the embedded style documentaries where you're side by side with the players. You're even looking at, I've seen Sturridge putting up a video with a young lad in the tunnel and all. But it seems genuine. It seems very organic. It doesn't seem like it's a complete PR
or anything like that.
No, even the video earlier with Salah and that young lad from Make-A-Wish, like it looked like genuinely that Salah wanted to be there. Like, it seemed like genuine goodwill. Like Jamie said, that the feel-good factor around the club is just, it's amazing at the moment. And you look at
the roof, isn't it? Yeah.
So the only thing missing. I was just going to say, Ray, just to finish off on that. I mean, I think the only thing missing for me now, I think it's fantastic that we're branching out and we're doing these tours, and we seem to be doing them at the right times, and real positive press. I just want to see a little bit more done locally now. You know, I think one thing that Champions League run did, it seemed to get youngsters reconnected with the club. You're seeing groups of young lads going and, you know, travelling away, doing the European aways, up on the top of vans, singing and chanting, and it was brilliant to see. I just wish that there seemed that connection now at home. The players were more accessible. I understand security reasons, but there must be other options to give local fans the same type of access in some description. But definite positive step. I just think as a knock-on effect now, a little bit more local access would be the icing on the cake.
Yeah, that's a fair point, Jamie. And just moving us on to being a little bit more local for us lads is obviously Saturday's game. 6 o'clock kickoff at the Aviva. It's obviously, hopefully, turning into an annual event for the Reds to come to Dublin.
And a busy session for us. Yeah.
So who's going on Saturday out to you lads? So Shawnee, Jamie, Steve's going to. Oh, you're going the game midweek, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to Reno.
Yeah.
I I was at the Bilbao game last year, and it was rough.
I remember.
You were hungover, weren't you, Steve?
I was in a bad way after that Bilbao, before the Bilbao game, after the Friday night. So just didn't fancy it again, to be honest.
Yeah, I went last year. I took my son last year, and he was just starting to get into it. Whereas now the brainwashing is absolutely worked, and he's obsessed with it. And I just remember last year pissed me off because it was just when the Coutinho stuff all started to kick off.
It was that day, Jamie. It was
that day, yeah.
The day before, because he didn't travel. Remember?
Yeah, and that my son, I swear to God, I didn't want to tell him the night before because Coutinho was his favourite player. And I remember turning up, and he was devastated when he didn't play. But it looks like all the big guns will be back. Alisson's going to get his first start, hopefully with a bit of luck. So it'll be good to see a proper side. I'm just delighted to see Alisson. I have to hold my hands up. I was a little bit nervous on the fee, and this isn't coming from some type of informed view. I hadn't watched enough of him. I'd seen compilation highlights that looked amazing. My only sample size, which is not enough, was the games that he played against us, and there was nothing amazing that happened from then. So I was looking at it thinking, geez, that's a serious amount of money. Would we be better off buying a cheaper option and strengthening elsewhere? But now that he seems to have come in, the presence the guy seems to have, the confidence he seems to have, that save today, lads, we were talking about it before. I keep watching it. Our goalies don't make saves like that. They just don't.
Hang on. So we're officially adding the training save to the body of evidence. Yeah.
That's it, mate. That's all I need. Okay. I'm in. I'm all in. I need no more. Don't care if he throws it in his own net now. That's it. I'm on the Alisson train.
I think most of us will be on the Alisson train for some time. Yeah, Shawnee, you're obviously on the Alisson train because he's your kind of lookalike in terms of the Liverpool squad.
Hold on a second. Where does this come from?
2 weeks ago, I'm trying to do Nicolas Cage and playing John Travolta face-off job with Alisson, you know what I mean? But you better hope he doesn't bump into me in the tunnel in the Aviva or something.
Shawnee, he's not a patch on you, mate. You're doing yourself a disservice.
No, but today, even when you seen the face on Salah and Moynihan, I'm saying, Jesus Christ, boys, we have a goalkeeper. The sky is the limit, you know what I mean? But look, his comments today were nice because before he signed for us, the whole thing was about him not being too keen coming to play for Liverpool and live in Liverpool. And he said today it's his fourth session and it already feels like home. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think the difference we've seen the difference Virgil made from January onwards. Alisson is again. It's Virgil Mark II for me. It's in
terms of impact, yeah.
It's the big statement and it's the big impact. And just like the thing is, with Air fans, he needs to hit the ground running. You know what I mean? Because
to reference Phil Casey, would you say that Van Dijk had influenced them when he came in? To that back four. So you reckon Alisson will have the same, yeah?
Two influencers, yeah. Two pure influence. The Instagram following is going to go through the roof.
Bloggers unveiled to be onto them next.
So, Steve, just in terms of the game on Saturday, are you expecting at some point the 11 that start against West Ham to be on the pitch together?
Yeah, I think you're going to see the strongest available 11 at some point together, which is the key thing. We haven't seen Keita play with Salah and Mane yet. We haven't seen Alisson. It's going to be the excitement levels will be through the roof watching it on Saturday because of the fact, as I said, we're going to get our first 11 out, hopefully as close to first 11 as possible. Fabinho will play. It'd be interesting to see what selection he has around the back four. Well,
what have you made of Fabinho so far, lads?
Very impressive. He doesn't take more than 2 touches, which is what you want from. It's a big question now when Henderson comes back. Because
I think
Henderson was in.
Fabinho's the type of player. Fabinho's the type of player that you're not going to see what he does by watching Match of the Day on a Saturday or a Sunday night.
No,
you know what I mean. He's a protector. You know what I mean. His influence will be felt more by Van Dijk and the back four than us in the stands looking on. You know what I mean. You'll have to go to the likes of Virgil and Lovren after 6 or 7 games and say what sort of a difference has he made. Now look, Henderson was excellent towards the back end of last year, but admittedly, that's not his natural position to protect the back four. You know what I mean? And there's times the Sevilla game at home, we seen him expose runners off him. Fabinho is just an intelligent footballer, like, and I think he will make some difference to that team. And
I just messaged
lads, where's this negativity come from in terms of some of the comments that have been thrown out there?
Dick, I think it's phantom. I think it's
bollocks. It's mad.
No, I think it's bollocks. I think it's likeable to the Karius situation when everyone was saying that the Liverpool fans were a disgrace how they were treating Karius, when you actually look, 95% of the Liverpool fans were backing him, but they weren't too harsh on him, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's just made up shit by other fans, you know what I mean? I could put Salah as me Avi, or I could put Paul Pogba as me Avi and start ripping Alexis Sanchez pretending to be a United fan. It doesn't mean that I'm anti fucking Pogba or Sanchez, like. So Fabinho will be brilliant for us. I don't know, he might not start though. I don't think he could. There's a chance he might not start the first game of the season. I don't know why.
I think for him, like, what I noticed is the difference between a specialist in a position and somebody just doing really well in a position. And I'm a Henderson fan. You all know that, but he does have limitations, particularly when pressed. And that was the one thing I noticed. I messaged Shawnee about it the other day. Is when he's pressed, the composure and how he uses his body, he nearly anticipates when the opposition will come in and try and nick the tackle, and he'll just turn away from him. Or, as Steve said, 1 and 2 touch, he'll pop it off and he'll go. A little knock around the corner. And what that does is, if another team has pressed us, or they've committed to that press, if he can knock it around the corner, in effect, that player's now out of the game and we're breaking. So I just think once he gets up to the speed and the rhythm, I think he's going to be an absolute revelation in there. And you think of, we look at the spine of our side now. You've got absolute monsters right through the spine. So Alisson, set of balls on him. You can see he backs himself. Van Dijk, the exact same. You've got Fabinho and Keita now. And, people are going to question whether Henderson plays. I still think he plays a central role in this team. I just don't think it'll necessarily be as the 6. I think he could be a little bit further forward now. They could go with two sort of sitting players now. There's loads of options. And it's just so great to see that throughout this team now, we've got big, strong characters, which, to be honest, for the last maybe 10 years, we just haven't had.
Yeah.
That's the question. That's the thing now. We have depth. It's the first time that I can remember that there is proper depth to the squad. If a player drops out, if Henderson picks up a knock and he's out for a month, Fabinho plays. If Keita picks up a knock, Wijnaldum will come in. It like, we do have proper depth for the first time, which is obviously amazing. Like.
And you said it as well, Steve, before. We've got multiple system changes now, up our sleeve. And Shawnee said it as well in terms of Mane. I think he's going to be central to everything that we do that's good. Klopp touched on it in a press conference where he said he can play the 8, he can play the 10, he can play wide. If one of those front three need a rest, it could quite easily become a 2. Mane could drop off. Sturridge could play in a 2 with Salah. He could play in a 2 with Firmino. There's so many options now, which is such a luxury for us, because I think that's where we probably, we overachieved in the Champions League last year, and we just come up short. And when we needed changes from the bench, we hadn't
got them.
Yeah, we were down. Look, we were down to the bare bones, weren't we? At the end of the season, let's be honest about it. We were kind of almost sort of limping to the back end of the season in the league. The Champions League run kind of almost took care of itself. We were just, on cloud 9 in terms of that run. But yeah, in terms of what we've done in the transfer market, plus some of the youth coming through, we're obviously in a much stronger position. With that all in mind, just want to get, it would be stupid of us not to speculate still with 9 days of the transfer window left. Do we think, and I'll sort of go round one by one, I'll start with you, Jamie. Do you think we bring anyone else in at this stage?
Do I think we need to? I think we will. I'd be happy if the window shut and we didn't bring anyone in. And the reason I say that is I just think we've got lots of players that can play multiple positions. So I don't think there's any one area. I mean, you could say maybe a lack of a pacey attacker to cover for Mane and Salah's pace potentially, would be ideal. Centre back, I don't think it's a priority. I'd be looking potentially to bring somebody in to cover for Matip because he's made of crisps. I don't think you'd be looking to bring in a challenger for Lovren and Van Dijk. For me, I think if we bring anybody in, we might be forced to do something for an attacker. But I'd be surprised if we do.
Okay, and Shawnee, I mean, just another area that I guess could potentially be strengthened is the number 2 goalkeeper. Do you think Klopp keeps faith with Karius as the number 2?
Yeah, I think Karius will be number 2. I think at this stage they're going looking for the number 2 to bring in. Who do we do? Mignolet looks like he's gonna go. There's a few suitors for him. I think Karius will move on. The reason being is I actually think we'd find it hard to get someone to come in and take Karius away from us. And that sounds awful saying that, but that's just the truth. You know what I mean? But
damaged goods.
Exactly. And if Karius is to come in for the Carling Cup game, look, so be it. You know what I mean?
We're not going to lose our shit over it, yeah?
No. Hopefully not. You know where fan base.
And Steve, any sort of thought from yourself around whether we need to bring someone in and in terms of the outgoings, obviously there's potentially loads who could be going out the door. Would you be happy for us to not be so rash in letting people leave and leaving that until January?
I think as Jamie said, if the window finishes now, you're happy. But I think with the outgoings that will happen, we could make up a fair bit of money. And there needs to be something in the pot that come January, if there is a need or the option to do something, if it's Fekir, if it's Pulisic, if it's Zaha, whoever it may be, that we have that funds there that we can go, right, that's how much we want, there it is, done. Like we did with Van Dijk, where we go, right, the price is 75 million, done, finished. So there's no fucking messing around. There needs to be, we can't keep gambling in January. We need, if we get to the point come January where it is a 2-horse race or whatever it may be, and we're involved in that, we need to have the option to strengthen again, so we have that kick on that could possibly push us over the edge. I personally, I'd be surprised if we do anything between now and next Thursday, though.
We said it before, Steve. Do you think that? I mean, my personal opinion is I think this is what changed everything. Is Karius dropping a couple of bollocks in pre-season? I think if he hadn't have made the errors that he did, potentially we wouldn't have been, had our hands forced in going for Alisson. Potentially the focus there would have been Fekir instead of bringing in a top-level goalkeeper. Do you think that was a knock-on effect, or do you think we would have gone and got Alisson anyway?
I think Alisson was going to be done regardless. I think, my point of view on Liverpool and any football squad, that everyone's upgradable. Everyone. Yeah. Unless you've got the best player in the world. You're not upgrading Salah at the moment. But every player is upgradable. I think it was spotted a long time ago that Karius wasn't the long-term solution.
The thing you need to realise what Karius was, and I think a lot of Liverpool fans forget, he was a £4 million goalkeeper.
Yeah, and we got £4 million. We got
a £4 million goalkeeper. Like, you know what I mean? Pay peanuts, get monkeys, isn't that what they say?
Yeah, well, look, we didn't prioritise that position for years, did we? Like, it's been sort of, a bit of a blind spot, if you like.
12 years, right? Yeah.
Not just with Klopp, but previous managers as well. So, look, we've gone out and sorted that, and I think, from my point of view, we've had an amazing window. If no other players come in, we can't argue with the quality that we've brought in, lads, can we? At the end of the day.
No, as you said earlier on, right? It's a case of it's like everyone else has forgotten how to do transfers. Everyone said because of the World Cup, transfers were going to be impossible, that there wasn't going to be any value in the market. No one knows what value is this player, that player. We've just gone out, done the business that we needed to do, immensely strengthened the squad and the starting 11 at the same time, and you can't both be happy. Like, people complaining that we need this or we need that, we don't. We're not completely 100% set, but we're immeasurably better than we were in May.
Let's be our boys. With the way Sky drum up drama and all, and the last week of this window, Arsenal have done decent business as well, but at the top 6-7, many clubs haven't done much. There's gonna be it's gonna be mayhem this next week.
Yeah.
But if it's a slow news day next Thursday, Sky will bang the drum on the Fekir deal for as long, and poor Vinny O'Connor will be standing outside Melwood. There won't be a light on in the place, and he'll be there till 12 o'clock getting harassed by a lot of boys on the side of the road. I don't think the Fekir deal is dead. And it's not
ITK, Shawnee.
No, it's not ITK. It's not blind optimism either. I'm indifferent to it at this stage. If he came or if he didn't come, I could live with it either way. But I just think so much has happened, and the type of person that Klopp is the whole world knows about him. That lad doing that interview in the club, we would have known what was said in that interview. I don't think Klopp is going to leave the lad in limbo like that. And the noise is that he really wants him, and we see when Klopp really wants someone, he'll wait or do whatever it takes. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's more news on Fekir in the next week. I really wouldn't. Genuinely.
Well, lads, we got a couple of questions.
Phil's maintained it's going to be a deadline day deal for a while. So maybe that's where this thing's heading. One thing Vinny O'Connor needs to be aware of is the transfer deadline is 5 p.m. on that Thursday.
Oh, is it?
No,
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh.
So
is it 5 p.m.?
It is 5 p.m. So if he's still standing there at 10 o'clock, someone's taking the piss.
Couple of questions, Ray, that have come through on the chat. First, it's not a question, it's a statement, and it's from Andy, Day Trippers Andy Young, and he says he loves your presenter face that you've been pulling throughout the show. So, good job on that, Philip Schofield. And then, the next one is
Andy. Never disappoint.
Lou Boy asks, is Shaqiri the Ox replacement?
Possibly.
For that value, breaking midfield, I can see him playing more central than anything else. I think
he's going to be. I think he's going to be our utility player. I don't think he's front three. I don't think he's a middle three. He's going to be somewhere in between. He's going to be used where he's need to be used. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, I'm sick of fucking opening Twitter and listening to fucking Charlie Adam on 5 Live talking.
He's got some neck on him, man.
He's a neck like
jockey's bollocks.
Taking advice from Charlie Adam is like letting Stevie Wonder telling you that something doesn't look right. You know what I mean? Like, all people in the world, Charlie Adam, the bleeding neck on him. You know what I mean?
Charlie Adam questioning someone's professionalism is a fucking joke. Like,
oh no, you only have to look at the fella. You know what I mean? He doesn't even look like the cousin of a footballer.
And another question there, lads, is what's the record goals that you reckon we'll score in a match this season?
I say we get 9
in a game.
Oh,
it could be done. What were you saying about Salah's conversion rate before, Shawnee, from last season?
I was flicking down the fantasy football earlier. I literally spending 8 hours a day in work when I should have been working, flicking through fantasy football. Like, you have the Premier League website is actually really good. They have loads of in-depth stats, and I just like clear chances missed. Salah had 23 clear opportunities missed.
Jeez.
I think most of them were in the first sort of 6 to 8 games, weren't they?
I think most of them were in the Watford game when he missed about 9 at the start. But imagine if he even converts another quarter of them. That's a 40 league goal season, like, you know what I mean? The sky is the limit for the fella. Like, if he has another season like this year, like, Jesus, I think we'd struggle to keep hold on to him next year.
Yeah, I think we're gonna score a ridiculous amount of goals this season. It wouldn't surprise me if we put 8 past someone, you know.
Was it not the case that 7-0 was more common than 1-0 last season? 7-0 was
in the Champions League we had a good run, didn't we?
Yeah, but the thing is, we have to measure ourselves off City. that we need to be aiming for 100 goals minimum, and then you see where it takes you. If you get 100 goals, you're not going to be far away. We've seen that in 13-14 where we broke the 100 goal mark. So that needs to be the target for the club. That we've added Keita, we've added Fabinho, hopefully would chip in with a few like he did at Monaco. Shaqiri chipping in with a few. Hopefully, if Henderson pushes on more, he might get a few. Like, we need to be building a squad that we're going to be looking at 100 goals.
Yeah, I think the other side of that equation, Steve, is that in that season where we broke the 100 goals, how many goals did we concede? I can't see us conceding that number of goals.
Yeah, like
it's a completely different beast.
The draws is what killed us last year. We'd loads of draws last year. I think we'd more draws than West Brom.
Yeah, Swansea at home and fucking
just them draws. When you're turning them draws, like you'd be better off losing even a couple of more games than winning more. Like, you know, you'll end up with fucking more points then. You know, I think when we're turning them 0-0s into 1-0s and so on and so forth, that's when we'll see the difference. And as the Trippers cliche, it's about going on a run and getting that momentum because. You look at when City flat-ironed us 5-0.
Did you just say that, mate? Did you say that out loud, yeah?
I did. When we gave City that springboard. City went top of the league till October, November. They spanked us at the Etihad. And then they were just on it. They were just running through everyone until January. I think it was Palace was the first game then that they dropped points again. You know what I mean? So,
21 in a row, wasn't it?
Yeah, but something crazy like that. But that's the level that we need to be at. And you wouldn't put it past this team, to be honest. With that spine.
So with that in mind, lads, before we wrap things up, obviously we've got a huge opportunity to hit the ground running. Yeah, we've got most of our players back. Obviously, there's the obvious ones who we've not seen yet in Trent, Hendo, Lovren, Firmino. But look, compared to the likes of Spurs, City, United, you know, we've got no excuses really to put a little bit of daylight between ourselves and some of these rivals early doors. Do you see that as potentially the make or break as to us mounting a challenge this season, Jamie?
Yeah, I think the more points you can get on the board early, the better. Particularly with some of our rivals having such a number of their players that have come back late from World Cup duty. So I think for us, we're blessed that a lot of our big players have not been at the World Cup, and if they haven't gone very far. So we should be able to cope early, put some pressure on the big boys, and let them. Let them worry about us. Let us be the pace setters. I think it's about time that we started believing that we're one of the teams to challenge City. I think they certainly believe it. And I think Klopp now, surrounded by his players who are well suited, well adapted to his style of play. There's no excuse for us not to start strong.
Yeah. And Shawnee, you're going to be there first game of the season at Anfield against West Ham.
You're bad luck when you go to games, you mate.
Such a fuck him out. That's the West Ham game last year, and we bet them out the gap 4-1.
He wasn't at the Etihad. That never happened.
Okay.
Right. So Shawnee, do you expect us to absolutely dismantle West Ham on the first game of the season?
No, I think it's going to be tight. Yeah, I do. Like, but West Ham aren't the bag of shite that came there last year on that Moyes. They have a really good manager now. Pellegrini's a great manager. They've made a load of new signings, so it depends how they gel. We'll do enough. We'll get the 3 points anyway.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's your early call, 3 points on the first.
That's all that matters.
Sunday of the season. Yeah, no other prediction than that. Yeah.
Alisson penalty save on his debut. Who was the last Liverpool keeper to make a penalty save?
Mignolet.
And he done very well, didn't he? So all the moments are there,
And Steve, I'm gonna pose the last question on the early season form. I guess, are Liverpool going to be top at Christmas?
Optimistic pod. I love this. I'm glad I came back for this one.
But as I was saying to you lads earlier on, it's the first 4 games. We need to start looking at it in blocks.
Yeah.
ideally we can't look from August to Christmas. We look in blocks. So first 4 games. I don't even know who the first 4 games. West Ham anyway.
Palace away.
Palace away on the Monday night,
Brighton.
and then
Brighton away.
And Spurs. Is it Spurs, or is that after the international break?
That's after the break.
But the first 4 games are key.
Leicester away as well.
Yeah, if we're looking at getting into a rhythm and start hitting the ground running, basically, we need to be looking at 12 points. That's my opinion on it. I think we need to look for 12 points out of our first 4 games. There's just if we can get that, you get your kick on, you start moving, and then everyone's playing catch up with you. No one else. You're the one setting the pace. Fuck everyone else. It's time. We done it in the summer. We should, with our transfer business, we went balls to the wall and just said, "This is what we're doing. Fuck everyone else." That's the way we need to start the season. It's going to be tight. It's going to be us. Obviously the optimism of being a Liverpool fan, but I think it's going to be, if you look on paper at the minute, it's between us and City. So if City decide to go on a run where they're going to win 21 games in a row again, or whatever it may be,
we'll win 22.
We need to keep up with that. This happened 2 years ago when Chelsea won the league. Remember the big famous interview where Chelsea had won 13 on the trot, and Klopp said, "Yeah, but we're only 2 points behind them." That's the mentality that no matter what City do, we match it. If City drop points, we make sure we don't drop points. That's the mentality that needs to be in it. We need to have that winning mentality that we've displayed during the summer. We're going and strengthening the squad and strengthening the team. Top of Christmas, I'd say top 2 of Christmas, regardless.
Yeah. I think that's a fair level of optimism. Not to getting too carried away.
It tastes much nicer when you're on top of the league as well, doesn't it?
It does.
I remember 13. I still remember my Christmas dinner on 13 and 14.
I mean, from my point of view, there's a couple of concerns. I think that first away game, Monday Night Football against Palace, is a trappy old game. You know, it's their first home game, so you know that if we come out of those first 2 games with 2 wins, then obviously that gives us the platform then to really sort of build some momentum before we get, you know, one of the really sort of big games coming up a few weeks later. Obviously we've got to go to Spurs' new stadium and try and sort of exercise some of last year's demons there. So look, I'm pretty optimistic. I think the rest of us are pretty optimistic. Look, we're going to wrap this up now.